Alright, so this is a fun one. Here we have a landlord-tenant dispute. I'm representing the tenant, and one of the attorneys at my firm, he was an attorney, sent a threatening letter to the landlord after the tenant moved out, and we threatened to sue her and get a bunch of money and all that shit. Anyway, she responded by doing this. She responded by sending us a list of damages, well, actually sending it to the tenant. She sent it to the tenant in such a way that I've never heard this before. She sent it to the tenant in a way that the email will self-destruct. So the tenant took screenshots of the emails. And here's the best one. This one is her list of demands, and this is how she explains, the damages that she thinks she's owed by the tenant to her, the landlord, and why she should be paid this amount of money. It explains in a little blurb there. Minor backstory on this. One of the tenants was bitten by the landlord's dog. The landlord would often threaten them and threaten to evict them, and I guess one had a panic attack, was crying on the floor. And the landlord responded by saying, "You're in the way to the kitchen. Can you move?" And generally just harassing the tenants. The weird thing is that there is a shared living space on the first floor, which includes the kitchen, some dining areas and whatnot, where for some reason the tenants interact with the landlord on a daily basis. That seems super weird to me. I don't understand it. The kitchen, let's start with the kitchen. The kitchen is part of the common living area. So let's see what she has to say about this kitchen. Tenant failed to properly clean up after herself, leaving food residue on the kitchen table multiple times. One substance eating away at the table finishing. Now, I'm going to humbly suggest that if something is eating away at the finishing of the table, it wasn't created there by food. No substances that I know of can do that. That's pretty incredible. If you know something that can eat polyurethane, let me know. Caused the wood to separate. Yeah, so coffee being spilled on the table caused the wood to separate. I mean, you're gonna have to prove that one, I think. The tenant says this is entirely fabricated. I talked to another tenant. One tenant's being blamed for this. I talked to another tenant, and she said the scratch was already there when she arrived and started her lease. So, it's very unlikely that this tenant even caused the scratch to begin with. Now, is a scratch justification to replace an entire table? It's called reasonable wear and tear. You reasonably use a table, it's gonna get scratched. It's gonna get damaged in some ways. You're gonna spill shit on it. That's the point of the table, is to spill shit on it. Not really, but to put cups, liquids on it, that will probably spill. More likely than not. Now, you can't have a scratch or a split in the wood and be like, well, I need to throw out the whole fucking table and then demand compensation for the table I just threw out. That's not how that works. You didn't spend $4,000 on this table. What idiot would buy a table worth $4,000 and put it in a common area? That also seems dubious. That also seems like poor spending. So, right out the gate, this table was not $4,000. In the event that it was, I would ask her to prove it. But we don't even have to get that far, because this is obvious reasonable wear and tear. You have the wood split on a table, so you need to throw the whole table out? Yeah, get the fuck out of here. Though $4,000 for a table. Yep, that's, of course, that's a reasonable price for a table. I almost wish she was dumb enough to pay this for a table, because I know she wouldn't get this money back. She's saying there's a hole in the wall and missing paint. Now, I understand there was like a piece of tape or something that tore some drywall. So here's the thing, right? People nail shit to their wall to hang paintings and photographs and certificates on their wall, and that's considered reasonable wear and tear. So how the fuck can you have someone peel some paint off the drywall and it not be reasonable wear and tear? That's not even possible, okay? That's so far removed from what is reasonable. $500 to repair this. I could repair this for about a little bit of compound, maybe like $8 tops. But no, you need $500 for this. $500. That's a fair bit for patching a hole in the wall. Scratches in the hardwood floor. I have never not scratched a hardwood floor. I have stained a hardwood floor. I have applied finish to the hardwood floor, and I've used a broom to sweep that hardwood floor. It scratched the fuck out of that hardwood floor. You can't use a hardwood floor and not scratch it. So could you believe every time you scratch a hardwood floor that you're gonna be charged, scratch the hardwood floor. Maybe you spend like $50 on supplies. Yeah, and this landlord, he does some calculations like, $1,200 right here. Yeah, I think so. That sounds about right. Yeah, that sounds right to me. $1,200. Who can argue with that? It pains me. It pains me. No, apparently she's like, I just need to do the whole floor, and I want to see evidence she actually did these things. I don't think she did, but whatever. Okay, so replace the caulking on the bathtub. Okay, yeah. So I don't understand this at all. Caulking eventually gets old and wears and whatnot. Is she suggesting that they rip the caulking out of the wall? Well, what's a tube of caulking go for? It's like $8. It's $8, and I'm not very good at this shit. it takes me maybe 30 minutes to do my tub. No, I don't understand that. That can't be right. 9 hours of labor? I'm assuming they split the labor between the bedroom and the bathroom here. Saying it's split, so presumably it's split with the bedroom, but the bedroom, the number it's split within the bedroom has a different fucking number than the bathroom by 0.25 hours. So that doesn't make any fucking sense either. At this rate, it says it took her 4.5 hours. It took someone 4.5 hours to replace the caulking. Something that took me 30 minutes, and I'm an idiot. So that means that they did crack for 3 hours and then did this caulking. There's nothing else you could pull from this. These are all reasonable wear and tear, by the way, in case you haven't figured it out yet. These are all reasonable wear and tear. This fucking thing that showed up on my screen. So, I mean, this is constructive eviction. I mean, I haven't even looked at the lease yet. So, I don't even know if she's breached her own lease. I'm gonna have to say yes, though, because this is pretty erratic behavior. But besides all that bullshit, though, this lady is insane. I mean, you'd have to be stoned to be asking for half of this shit. I mean, there's no way you put this down pen to paper and be like, yeah, this is gonna look good for me to say this. And she's gonna get in front of the judge and be like, yeah, you know, there's some scratches on the hardwood, $1,200. Like, come on now.